Hello there, this is John Sluice here coming to you to go through a few very quick, brief updates as it relates to some of this new stimulus here. This is going to be retroactive to what it felt like in the early 2020 when I was coming to you, tell you information that I may not entirely know, but I felt it pretty important. So join us here as we go through some of the new stimulus impacts, the phase 2 of the PPP, the EIDL, and a few other things. Thank you for joining us. I hope you had a great Christmas. This is a very brief introduction and brief discussion on some things that you're going to want to know and hear regarding this new phase 2 of the Stimulus Act that came out that Congress just passed. It's the one I talked to you about last week, and then, in hindsight, I almost wished and regretted that I talked to you because the Trump potentially vetoed it, but then it came through. So the rule, what you need to know is it is passed now, the second Stimulus Act that's out there. It is passed. We are working through it, and we're trying to understand it. This is, again, one of those videos where I'm coming to you without having all the information. We're digesting it, working through. Bankers are digesting it, working it through. And so it's one of those, we wanted to get you some information sooner than later, more than importantly. So we definitely are going to have videos in the coming weeks and months as it goes through on the details of this. So this is not going to be your very detailed analytical accountant presentation, rather just some very high level things that you're going to have to be focusing on in the very short term as we look forward to it. The first thing I want to talk about here is the individual stimulus checks that were part of this package. I'm recording this on a Wednesday night. It's coming to you Thursday morning. As of right now, it has still passed at the $600. I know the Senate is still working through trying to figure out what they're going to do, if they're going to extend it up to the $2,000. As of right now, it is the $600. The Treasury has already indicated that the funds have started going out to individuals, so you should be seeing it here very soon. It's going to follow into the same bank account and the same method that you had the last time. One little nuance within this is it's being based off of the 2019 numbers, whereas the last round of stimulus was based off of the 2018 or 19. This is off of the 19, and so if that did change significantly for you, let us know. We could work through it. But in general, you should start seeing those funds come in. The $600 should be coming into your account. A couple other very small items, if you will, but do have larger implications long-term that I want to hit before I go into the main topic, is they clarified that charitable contribution, the above-the-line item, one-time item that they gave here, which they had said was $300, they clarified that, and it is now $300 per individual, or if you're married filing jointly, it's twice that. It's $600. So this is a 2020 item that if you have not already donated $600 to a charitable organization for the year, you may want to get that in there yet today, the 31st, in order to qualify. If you've already donated, it will qualify, but it's up to $600 if you're married filing jointly. Another pretty interesting package or item that came through this new stimulus package is the 100% deductions on business meals for 2021. Historically, it was always 50%. This is a benefit for the hospitality industry. They're trying to incentivize businesses to start utilizing some of those meals and deductions. Entertainment is still not deductible, but meals now are 100% deductible starting in 2021. That's a temporary thing, it's not permanent, but that is something, at least for 2021, that we can count on. So that's kind of a nice little extra deductibility for businesses there. Now for the two big items that we want to talk through, and it's related to the PPP and the EIDL grant. So these are going to be more focused, again, to the businesses that are hearing and are listening, but this is huge that there is a second round of the PPP. So basically, if you qualified and you went through the process for the first round, think about it for the second round, in general. But that's who the audience that I'm talking to right now is if you thought about the PPP in the prior year, it's the second version. It's different and it's more limited this time around than it was last time. But specifically, it's taking it. It's now down to a $2 million wage cap as compared to 10. But most of the clients who I'm working with here are still going to be qualifying for this. Most of you that are listening are going to qualify. The big change here is the requirement now that if you have to have a drop of more than 25% of your gross revenue or gross receipts from a comparable quarter the prior year. So again, if we take 2020 and we take second quarter 2020 and we compare it to second quarter 2019, if you saw more than a 25% drop, you're going to qualify for this next round. That's going to be a pretty key number that you're going to be hearing. If you only hear one thing out of this whole discussion here today, it's going to be that it's important for you to know your quarterly revenue and quarterly receipts. It's not something that we typically focus on because we're doing year ends. We do for a few, but for the most part it's annual. And so you're definitely going to want to look at your quarterly numbers to make sure that they feel good and make sure that you feel you qualify for more than that 25% decrease. Because if you do, there is a whole nother second round of this PPP. And like that first round that went last time, I have a feeling that this is going to go pretty quickly. And so you're going to want to be talking with your banker that you had the last round and be doing and having discussions with them and say, hey, I do qualify, let me know. So give us a call to run through some numbers for you. If you're bored this weekend, maybe start thinking about it. But as you work through those, just be ready that it's going to come pretty quickly. Also be aware that the bankers don't know, we don't know all the details, we're still digesting it. The guidance gave us 10 days to disseminate all this information and roll out the program, or they gave the SBA 10 days to roll it out. So what I'm presenting here is just preliminary based on legislation. It's not the final things, but just trying to give you a pre-warning of what you should be looking at. Again, here to summarize that is if you qualified or looked at the PPP last year or last go around, you definitely want to be thinking about it this year. There's an increased scrutiny and increased look as to whether it works or not, but definitely be thinking about it, and it's a whole nother round that you're going to want to be looking at. Now shifting into the EIDL. So this is a little bit of an interesting surprise that we weren't planning on. The first one that they came out with is that the original EIDL, so this is the grant part of the EIDL, so that up to $10,000 during the first round, that historically last year would have said it was going to reduce down your PPP loan. They've now come out and said it does not reduce down your PPP forgivable part. And so that's an extra added bonus of income for you, or of reward for business owners. So that's great news and something that you're going to want to be thinking about. The big item here that I want you to hear about is that if you qualified and applied for this EIDL grant in the last round, and it was based off of, we found out later that it was based off the number of employees with a cap of $10,000. So it was $1,000 per employee capped at $10,000. So if you had 2 employees, it turned out that you were capped at $2,000. They opened that up now, and you can go back retroactively now. You're going to have to go through the portal again, through the SBA portal. But if you were limited the last round, you could now get it up to that $10,000. So a good example is if you had the 2 employees, you were limited to $2,000 last round, you can go back and get an extra $8,000 now again this time. So be watching for that. Again, I came at you very quick with lots of information here, and this is just the tip of the iceberg as what's coming out there. And so watch and stay tuned as we dive into this and go into more details and we get in through all the information. But what you need to hear from us going into this new year, what you need to be hearing right now is think about your quarterly revenue or quarterly receipts and making sure to see whether you have a dip of 25% or more. So watch that. That is going to be critical. Talk to your banker, make sure you're in line if it does qualify. And then the other one is watching for this EIDL and seeing if you qualify for that extra bit there to maximize that. call us, let us know. We're going to be working through all these with you, but hopefully you get this and at least gets a bug in your ear to know that there is a whole nother round of stimulus dollars that are out there and that they're out there to help the businesses continue to work through this the pandemic. So thanks for joining. Look forward to talking to you, and have a great New Year's.